Welcome, everyone. Welcome back to another episode of A Queen's Roundtable Show and Podcast. I am your host, Dr. Jacqueline Kaba-Harrison, and I am super excited tonight. I have Emily here in the house with us, and she is going to introduce herself in just a moment. In the event that you don't know, you better ask somebody. I always want to say that. But anyway, in the event that you don't know, a Quiz Roundtable show and podcast originally started to give women a voice, allowing them to come and actually talk about their different experiences leading up to their why behind their business and telling you a little bit about who they serve and how they serve. And lastly, giving you tangible tips and tools that you can take away or walk away with and put them in your tool belt and be able to start implementing them today to help you scale your business, to help you develop yourself personally and professionally. We stream live every Sunday at 3 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. If you have not done so already, go to Roku, Apple, or Amazon Fire TV, as well as we are also available on Android, as well as the iOS app, and download the app and check us out. Check out this video as well as some of the other videos for the Queen Spotlight. It is a wealth of information. So let me go ahead and zip it up, as my son's kindergarten teacher would say. Zip it up, lock it, put it in your pocket. My guest, Miss Emily, welcome, welcome, welcome to the A Queens Roundtable Show. I am super excited to have you here.
Thank you so much for having me. I am so excited to chat with you. I already am obsessed with your energy, so this is going to be super fun.
Yeah, I can't wait. And I didn't want to mess up your last name. Pronounce your
No
last name for
fair.
me.
Most people do mess it up, so don't worry about it. My last name is Guerra. So I am Emily Guerra. I am the founder of the Productivity Flow, which is my productivity life coaching business. A lot of people know what productivity coaching is. A lot of people know what life coaching is. Not a lot of people know what productivity life coaching is. And so, really, I am all about kind of connecting the two. So, my mission is to empower self employed women to overcome different mindset hurdles as well as optimize their or systemize. Oh my gosh, Emily, there we go. Starting off strong. Systemize their work from home life so that way they can actually achieve work life balance, which I know is ultimately the goal of all entrepreneurs and freelancers.
Right. And you know what? When we first met, actually, let me just share this with you all. Emily and I clicked just initially when we first met. She was just such a warm spirit, and it's just so easy talking to you. I'm just, really excited again to, have you here on the show. And I was also very intrigued by what you do. I can honestly say I've interviewed numerous women, since 2016, and you were the only individual that I have come across that does what you do. So
I love
tell us,
that.
yeah, hey, that's really saying something, So
Yeah.
tell us a little bit about, go ahead and just talk a little bit more about, who you are, Emily. And, you can even tell us where you're located geographically and
Yeah.
basically the name of your business again. And, how did it get started and why? What's your why behind your business? I always like to ask everyone that.
Totally. Yeah. So I am based in Los Angeles, California. And the real why behind my business, the productivity flow, honestly kind of stems back to childhood a little bit, but also to my situation in graduating college right into COVID and the pandemic. So when I was a kid, I had no idea that I had ADHD. And I kind of struggled with school a bit. I really struggled focusing. I could never finish a test on time, and I never understood why. Like everyone around me, it seemed to click for everybody else. But for me, I was just a little bit slower in putting the pieces together and staying organized. And so naturally, throughout my childhood, I realized that about myself. And I also realized that what really helps me in being organized and actually following through on all of the school things, the sports things, the family things, is creating systems and like little mini workflows around everything that I do in my life. So I started creating systems for the way I took class notes, to the way I studied and did homework, to the way I organized my closet. And fun fact, I actually still use that same system today that I created when I was like 10 years old. So clearly it helps me and it works. And so I really brought that kind of like systemization perspective to everything that I did all throughout my whole life. And then when I was in high school and college, I really fell in love with wedding planning. And so I was doing a lot of wedding planning, event planning, and then I graduated college in 2020. So right when the lockdown began, and within a 3-week period, the lockdown began, I graduated, and I unfortunately lost both of the wedding planning jobs that I had lined up for post-grad because weddings were just not happening at the time. And I ended up moving in with some family just to figure life out. And I'm going to be honest, I spent the first couple months kind of sulking, being mad at COVID, mad at the world, mad at everything. But then I realized, this is actually kind of an opportunity for me to do something on my own. So I started freelancing out social media services to a lot of different entrepreneurs that I knew. And through working with these entrepreneurs, I realized how many of them were lacking systems, were lacking clarity around their goals, and were lacking a way to actually hit their goals that did not tarnish their self-worth, that did not make them feel bad about themselves in any way or put themselves down. And like I saw that gap in every single entrepreneur I worked with. And I realized, hey, I could help them fill that gap. I could start kind of guiding and coaching and suggesting. And so I naturally did that with my freelance clients, and I helped them out so much that they all suggested that I start my own coaching business. And so I took that idea, I ran with it. And in 2022, I founded the Productivity Flow, and I've not looked back. So my why really ties into kind of that feeling that I got before I started systemizing my life as a kid, right? That lack of control, that lack of self-worth, that lack of understanding yourself and wanting to do more, but not knowing how to. I really want to empower entrepreneurs to actually achieve that work-life balance. I know it might seem like a distant dream, but there are ways to do it. And that is really what I ultimately want to help people do, just escape the hustle culture and actually have their life back.
Yeah, I love that. And it's like, as I'm sitting here talking, actually a couple of things, and I always I don't like to interrupt, so I try to hold it, and I say, okay, I hope I remember. One of the things that like really kind of took me aback was when you said, when you were 10, what did you say? You created your own little system in your closet?
Yep, my closet organizing system, it's color-coded. It's like organized by long sleeves, short sleeves, a season. It's fantastic. It's like the best. I always know where everything is. And it's like getting dressed in the morning is so quick and easy. And like doing laundry is also a lot easier because I know where everything goes. Just really quickens things.
And the thing of it is, and I consider myself organized. I've never thought about that. I've like never thought about that. So I wanted to mention that. And I also wanted to go back just in case they're, and well, I'll say this. I'm pretty sure that myself, like other entrepreneurs, recognize the importance of systems.
Mm-hmm.
It's just that we probably, sometimes don't really sit down and take the time to really get a system in place. Like I'm thinking about myself, and I can't tell you, it's actually a little embarrassing. I don't even really have a complete system as to how I bring leads into my business.
Mm.
You know what I mean? And it's like I might get something in mind, but then I have different things that I do, so
Mhm.
me like any other entrepreneur, we probably need different systems, right, Emily, for different things, like maybe a system to bring people onto the A Queens, bring them onto the show, specifically the Queen Spotlight or the Born to Lead, Awakening the Leader Within, right? Or maybe to bring people into the network. So I would assume
Mhm.
that each course or each item, for some reason I'm just kind of lost for words right now, but each different, I hate to say thing, each different item in our business, right?
Mhm.
I would assume we would have to have a different system in which maybe to bring leads in. Like, is that kind of something similar that you might help entrepreneurs out with?
Totally. So
Okay.
here is kind of how I explain what working with me looks like.
Okay.
So overarchingly, there are probably a lot of systems that
Okay.
all entrepreneurs are missing, right? And those systems can be like business systems, like the one that you were just describing, a lead generation system. And the
Mhm.
systems can also be personal, right? Like a self-care system, for instance, or, a system for ensuring that you actually handle all the balls in the air and like maybe just it's like a routine kind of, right? And so I will help you evaluate what systems you're actually missing and which ones will really make a big impact on your life and on your business. And
Okay.
then we will work together to figure out what tools, what platforms, what automations, that kind of thing that you might need to really make this as easy as possible. I think that's a big gap also with systems is that it can feel so complicated sometimes. And so we just don't even want to handle it because it's like, oh, that's a little too big to tackle right now. Like, I'll do it later. And then later comes or never really comes. Right. And
Mhm.
so I'll help you break it down. Right. I'll help you actually understand, okay, step by step process. Let's take it just 1% at a time. What's that little thing that we can implement today?
Mhm.
Right.
Right.
That's
Okay.
what I want to be pushing you towards so that way you actually feel momentum and
Right.
progress immediately because that'll really help you boost your motivation, but it'll also help you gain clarity on some more gaps that you might have. And
Okay.
what else I will do, I will also show you how you can take everything that I'm teaching you with systemizing. Now, whether it's systemizing actual processes or systemizing your own habits, I will
Okay.
explain like how the brain works, right? How business strategies work and how you can take these and apply them later on. So let's say we finish coaching together and you realize that you want to implement another system, you're going to know how to because I'm going to empower you with all the skills and tools that you'll need that you can carry on for forever.
Okay. Hmm. And I'm also listening. I'm thinking to myself, I know, and I don't think personally, I don't think it's talked about enough, like in terms of
Mhm.
productivity and managing time. But I know a lot of entrepreneurs. Well, okay, I'll say two examples, if you will. One, entrepreneurs, such as myself, some of us work a full time job, and then we
Mhm.
have our business. So, of course, ding, ding, ding. Even more importantly, effective time management and making the flow of things,
Mhm.
easy. Make it make sense, and to flow and to eventually, help you out, so that way
Mhm.
you can stay on point, you can get that clarity. And when you do schedule your time to sit down and do this or do that, it comes easier. You're not spending time doing a whole bunch of organizing, right? Because believe me, I know how that feels sometimes. I'm sitting down, I know I have to do this particular task, but I have to sit here and kind of organize to even put
Yep.
things in piles to figure out what needs to be done and when, right? So I
Yeah.
guess that's one thing I'm thinking about. And, just kind of, dividing your time. And then two, even if you are a full-time entrepreneur, let's just say you're not necessarily juggling between the full-time job
Mhm.
and your business, but you're juggling those different hats. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? Like, okay, I'm a publisher. Okay, let me put on the publishing hat. Okay, let me
Mhm.
meet with all of my co-authors, for this anthology that's going to drop in January. Okay, let me take that hat off and I'm gonna go over here and I have a magazine. So now I need to get with, make sure everyone is submitting their articles on time. When is the deadline? When is it going to be put out? What, different things. So you're
Yep.
wearing those different hats, right? So
Totally.
again, so I'm saying all that to say I'd like for you to speak a little bit to that because I just want the audience to know that regardless to where you are,
Yep.
whether this is a new business, whether you've been in business for 5 years, whether you've rebranded, whether you are, work full time and your business is part time, or whether you're a full time entrepreneur in your business. This is something that can help you flow, or something that could really be super super useful,
Yeah.
even all of those different categories.
Yeah, no, so fair. So, some kind of like big themes that I was really hearing were like time management, task management, but also like kind of multitasking, right? And like going from one task to another and really like task switching. So, the thing that the commonality between all of these is our energy, right? Like, do we actually have enough energy to follow our time blocked calendar, to switch our hats so often, to make sure that we're still taking care of ourselves at the end of the day, to
Mhm.
still have energy for our family, for our friends, for our social life, right? Like, how do we balance all of that? I personally find that the biggest missing piece for most people is not time management, but energy management. If
Mm.
you understand how your energy flows throughout the day, throughout the week, and especially for women throughout the month, you can start aligning your tasks and your time blocked calendar to really match your energy. Instead of trying to make your energy match your day, flip it. Make your day match your energy. If you know you're a morning person, then eat the frog. Do the hardest, the
Mhm.
biggest task in the morning when you have the most energy. But if you know that like afternoons or evenings are your time, then eat the frog then. That's when you should do your biggest tasks. So that way you're not trying to force yourself to fit into this mold that is not you. Because what that does, that makes decision fatigue even worse. It makes planning even harder because you're really fighting against your own body. You're fighting against your own brain. And you got enough fights going on. You don't need that added on. So I always work with my clients on understanding their energy patterns and really getting reflective, because I always say awareness is power. If you understand yourself a little bit more, if you understand your energy levels, right? You understand your goals, your self talk, your systems, all the things. Guess what? Action is a lot easier because there's less uncertainty, right? And so taking that time to maybe, take 5 minutes a day and look at your calendar, look at your task list, see what you got done, see how you spent your energy today. And then maybe just open your notes app on your phone and write down a couple of bullet points saying, at 11 a.m., I dipped. I was super unproductive until I had lunch at 1 p.m. And then I think after my third cup of coffee, I finally start feeling it. Just take notes like that. And then at the end of the week, you're going to see some patterns. You're going to notice, like, you know what? Afternoons, I do not like talking to people. I should stop taking meetings at noon because that needs to be my lunchtime. And I get hangry if I don't get there. Right. But like, you'll never know that unless you take the time. And so it might seem simple, but it's the simple things that we don't do. And it's the simple things that can also be the most impactful. So I always love the energy management piece because I do find that people kind of have like a light bulb moment and they're like, oh my God, that's what's missing for me. Like, I am not managing my energy. I've just been so focused on time and tasks. And I think that's because of the hustle culture, right? That's what society, every ad, every app, every tool out there is telling us to focus on. Right. And so I'm coming with a more mindful approach, one that actually takes into account your body and your brain.
Okay. I know it's like a little bobble. What do you call the little bobbleheads? You might be a little young, Emily, but back in the 80s, we used to have these little things that would sit in the car, and that
Oh,
as the
yeah.
car, you know what I mean? The little head would do that. And that's what I kind of feel like here. I mean, that is so on point. And like you
Mhm.
said, it's so simple, but
Exactly.
yet so powerful. Like, I'm a night person.
There you
I'm
go.
telling you, it is nothing for me to sit here. I get my movie on, it's something that, or TV show, something that I've seen before. So it's kind of playing in
Mhm.
the background, just a little bit of stimulation. I get me a nice little cup of coffee or a cup of tea. And it's like 11 from like 11 p.m. to like 2 a.m. I'm good. I mean,
I
I'm
love that.
creative, I'm flowing, you know what I mean? And it's
Yeah.
like, and I'm sending emails to people at like 3 or 4 o'clock in the morning. I know people are like, what? But it's like that's when I flow. It's like
Yeah. There you
you
go.
but you know what I mean? I never really thought about it. I didn't really sit down and make a conscious effort, like, okay, I'm a night person. You know what I mean? But
Mhm.
just even thinking about that and planning accordingly. I mean, you do that with other things, right? Like let's say if you, I don't know, you have to go shopping for Thanksgiving. Let's say you want to prepare this
Mhm.
big Thanksgiving meal. You shop at, I don't know, Kroger.
Mhm.
Some people maybe they don't have Kroger where you live, but you shop at Walmart, let's just say, or
Yeah.
Costco. You know when Costco is going to be busy, when it's going to be like bumper to bumper in Costco. So you plan accordingly, or if you have a bunch of errands to run and you're a morning person, you're going to
Mm.
typically do it in the morning. You know what I mean? And
Exactly.
it's the same thing with your business. And especially if you're doing something that is going to require you to talk to other people, maybe even considering other people's schedules, as well as maybe creativity. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I'm definitely more creative at night. Like in the morning,
There you go.
like I've even had people want to meet with me in the morning. Oh, let's meet at 9 a.m. And I'm thinking to myself, like, I'm like, just getting in the REM sleep at 9 o'clock. Like, I can't even do it at 9 a.m. Or if I do, I'm gonna be like dead. Like you're gonna have a
Yeah.
sex scene with me because everything you say is gonna go in one ear and out the other.
But
So
see,
yeah,
you
I love
know
that.
yourself though. I
I
think
guess
that
I do.
awareness.
Yeah.
Yeah, right? And I think you're kind of just an example of how that awareness really is power because you've been able to structure your business based off of your, power times, right? And that's really powerful because I would bet $500 that you're getting a lot more done and you're way more productive when you are listening to your body versus when you're trying to fight against it, right? And like I think I loved your examples too. And like as you were saying, like when you go grocery shopping, you know when the busy times are. And like the first example that came into my head, I live in Los Angeles, and no, we all know what LA is notorious for is the traffic.
Mm-hmm.
So anytime I plan to leave my apartment, I literally have to plan like to the minute when I want to go where. Otherwise, I will sit in 45 minutes of traffic to go 3 miles. And
Mm-hmm.
so, like, that same concept, bringing that into your business, just because you're not leaving or
Mm-hmm.
going somewhere or doing something like outside of your office or your desk does not mean that you should not be just as intentional, right? And I think that intentionality piece can really slip through the cracks when we get so reactive to the business, when we feel like, client A is calling me, client B is emailing me, everything is urgent and I have to handle everyone else's needs before I handle my own. That's kind of how we react. That's why we end up skipping breaks, skipping lunch, not taking like actually ending work later than we say we're going to end work. It's what leads to a lack of work life balance ultimately. And so bringing in that intentionality and actually kind of owning it and saying like, hey, like, you know what? During that time, I'm going to be in a deep work session. Like, let's meet at this time instead. Like, that is okay to do. You are allowed to shift your schedule. You are allowed to shift your meetings. You are allowed to put yourself first. I think a lot of entrepreneurs really need to hear that because that's the thing that we feel like we can't do. We have to put the business first all the time. And like the business will do better when you put yourself first. You will be way more productive when you put yourself first. So just wanted to add that in too.
And just as you said that, I thought about this in terms of logistics, as far as like time zones. Like I've found that it's easier for me
Mhm.
to work with individuals because I'm in Eastern time zone.
Mhm.
So it's much easier for me to work with people that are on the West Coast, so maybe Mountain Time, because they're between an hour to 3 hours behind us, Eastern
Right.
time. But it's been a challenge working with
Mhm.
individuals. Like I had another young lady I was working with, and she's in Nigeria, and we had some challenges coming together, like in terms of the time, because for me to jump on, if you tell me to jump on at 1 a.m., I'm good. I don't have a problem with it. But for me, I guess a big challenge is is working with someone, like in terms of time
Yeah.
zones, and also because it seems like everyone in the world is a morning person. So for me, that's challenging. Because at
Mhm.
this time, this is perfect for me, but people are getting off work and they're like, "Oh, my day, I'm
Yeah.
almost in bed at this time." So that's been a little challenging for me personally.
That's so fair. And I could totally see how that, especially I think because your like power times are a little abnormal, I'm not going to lie, but that's okay because you make it work, right? And I think like that is such a good like lead into this next piece which is really kind of having that flexibility, right?
Okay.
Like sometimes it's not always going to work out in your favor, so like you have to number one decide if it's worth it, decide if changing your schedule, doing something that maybe doesn't fully align with you, if that opportunity is really worth it. A lot of the times it might be, and that's okay. Again, own it, right? Don't let the situation dictate your power, you dictate your power. So I think that really like that example that you shared just really kind of shows like it's a decision game kind of at the end of the day. Like who are you going to decide to put yourself first? Like is it always going to be the business? Maybe. Is it always going to be yourself? Like you need that balance, right? And like that is just the nature of entrepreneurship, I think. And having that flexibility is a really big piece of creating systems that actually work within your life and don't constrain you and don't make you feel like so rigid all the time or prevent you from going on autopilot too. So, definitely love that example.
Okay. Well, thank you. Thank you. Just came to me as we're sitting here talking. So I'm just trying to um I'm just trying to figure out because I don't want to ask you so many questions. I still want to I want you to have an opportunity to talk a little bit more in detail with giving the audience some different tools and tips. So, okay, so I do want you to talk about that, but I guess prior to getting into that, maybe if you can share, because there may still be some people out there that may still, have some questions around, do you, and I know you work one on one, but like
Mhm.
maybe, for example, do you also have a group? Is there maybe a podcast that they could, join or listen to? Do you like have tips that they can go on the website and just download? Or how do they get a little bit more feel for like how you work? You
So
know.
fair. Such a good question. So I have two different one-on-one longer term coaching programs. Both of them are 6 months long.
Mhm.
One is more productivity, work-life balance focused. One is more accountability focused. So really actually creating those goals and sticking to them. Right. So those are my two online or one-on-one coaching programs. And then I also have one online course, which is all about getting out of your own way and actually learning how to put your most productive foot forward and like get unstuck and actually move forward. And then, so those are like my paid programs. And then I offer a ton of free resources that I create and use myself. So I always test them before I put them up on my website. But within my blog, almost every single one of my blogs has a freebie that you can download and actually use. And then, addition to that, I also have a free Facebook group where every single day I share a tip. And then every single Friday, I go live. So that way you can chat with me one on one, or if other people are in the live, then we can like actually work to answer your questions then and there. So that way you feel like at the end of the week, you can put your most productive foot forward the next Monday. So that's why I love doing it on Fridays, kind of like a weekly wrap up almost. So you can find all of that on theproductivityflow.com.
Okay. Okay. I like that. So you have, and I forgot about the blog. I know you did mention that to me. So you have the blog, you have the website where they can go and download different, tools, as well as going live on Friday. That way, that's something they can kind of put in their book. If they have
Mhm.
a question, maybe they download it. Like this is something I would do. Like I would probably go and maybe download something, check out
Mhm.
something, and then I probably would have to implement it or attempt to implement it, and maybe have a question to ask you on the upcoming Friday. So
Yeah.
something like that. Because typically people kind of step into it. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Like, okay, look at her
exactly.
tools. It's easy to read. I like, and then maybe they catch one of your lives and they're like, okay, I think I can follow her. Because some people may have ADHD and they know what they're talking about, but they're pinging all over the place. And you're like, you know what I mean?
Totally.
So
Totally. That's exactly why I built in that consistency, right? Literally because I'm ADHD, I get it. Like, I really do get it. I need those systems. So I definitely always put them in place for my business just to help keep me on track. But
mhm.
always definitely helps the people who want to join me because they know that every single Friday, 12:30 PT, I will always be going live. So,
Okay. Yeah, I like that. All right.
yeah.
So go ahead, segue into your tips and tools that you want to leave the audience with. And then, of course, after that, just kind of reiterate where they can find you, the different social media um, websites
Mhm.
and or handles. That's the word I meant to use. And I don't know if you have, anything in particular, a challenge or something like that coming up, feel free to talk about that as well.
Thank you. Okay, amazing. So, our conversation, I feel like we really talked a lot about kind of time management and we touched briefly on having these like time blocks, right? Our calendar and our routine. So I just wanted to throw out some tips to really help you gain back that control over your routine. I think control is kind of like the big word that I really want to put out there because it's oftentimes the things that my client really wants is finding control again. And we can start doing that in small moments in your routine. So I think one of the things that I just wanted to reiterate that'll make this process and these tips a lot more impactful and easier for you to actually execute on is boosting your awareness on how you are currently spending your time and energy, right? So, like how I mentioned earlier, I will go through the process of like tracking my clients' weeks so that way we can understand their energy fluctuations and patterns. So, definitely do that with your notes app, make some notes every single day, just so that way you can understand what your energy looks like. And then from there, I want you to make just 1% changes on your routine to align your task management and your time blocks with your energy. So, how do you actually do that process though? Start small, right? I always love to start in the mornings and kind of work our way down. So, a lot of the time, our morning routine can feel really unintentional, right? Because maybe we hit snooze and then we finally get up and we already feel like we're rushing because we already feel like we're behind because we hit snooze a couple times or because we scrolled on our phone a little bit too long, right? And so, what are some things that you can do to be more intentional again? To take your power back and to maybe streamline your routine, your morning system, right? Think about it like a system. Like, what is step one, step two, step three? And all of these steps need to empower me to actually have a successful mindset, to have a productive mindset, to feel like I can go into the workday with my best foot forward. Like for me, that looks like meditation, right? Like I love doing a meditation in the morning because it gets my mindset right. It helps with all the daily jitters. And then I can like, okay, I'm ready and I can get to work now. So like what's that thing for you, right? And then once you figure that out, practice it for a week, 2 weeks until it really becomes almost second nature. And then go ahead and adjust another small part of your routine. Whole point here, take it just 1% at a time. If you try to overhaul your routine and like create this whole new system for yourself overnight and expect yourself to follow it, you're going to be really disappointed because you're not going to be able to follow it because you're taking too big of a bite, right? Think about like a pizza, right? There's a bunch of different slices. Would you ever just take a whole pizza and like try to shove it in your mouth? Absolutely not. That's ridiculous. We chop it up into slices and then we take one bite at a time. That's what change should be looking like. That's what systemizing your life should be looking like, one little bit at a time. And then as you keep going, just be reflective, right? Ask yourself what worked, what did not work. And the things that did not work, those are changes and adjustments that you can make for tomorrow. So following this process can feel a little longer than like a lot of what we hear the gurus out there saying, but I'm all about sustainable change. We don't want to give you something that is going to stress you out and then make you feel like a failure because you cannot follow through with it. We want something that actually empowers you to gain a sense of control back into your day. And I find that just adjusting your routine one little bit at a time with being more intentional is one of the best ways to do that. And you will notice that just that intentionality makes you so much more productive because of that sense of control, actually, right? And because when you can follow through on just one little tiny change in your routine, that boosts your sense of confidence, that boosts your motivation, and that gets you excited for following through again. So it can really also be a great accountability booster and is a process that I will often go through probably like once a year, just because we, you know, we all change, right? Like my life changes and my circumstances change, my business changes, I get new clients, old clients, and so I have to kind of reflect and adjust. I do this process once a year, and it always takes me just about like a couple weeks to really feel that sense of control again. So once you've gotten into the hang of it, it gets so much easier. That I promise.
Okay. I was just thinking about, taking it all in. And I really like how you mentioned that you focus on sustainability. And a
Mhm.
lot of times people, we get really excited. We just kind of want to, like you said, take that whole pizza. We're so hungry for change, right?
Yep.
And we just want to take that pizza and just shove it all in our mouths. And, but like you said, it doesn't tend to be sustainable that way, and I like how you said just those little bits of change, you
Mhm.
know, and along the way, and this is something that I talk about a lot with individuals that I work with. When you have those little small goals along the way, when you achieve them, it helps to increase your confidence and it helps to keep you motivated. So once you achieve one thing, you kind of like checked it off the list, like, okay, yeah, I got that. Okay, you know what I mean? And then that gets you more
Totally.
excited
Mhm.
to do the next change, the next slight tweak. So and you just kind of do it again and again and again. And I guess, reassess as needed.
Exactly.
Hmm. Yeah, because I guess like if you get like slammed with a big project or something like that,
Mm.
I guess you'd have to kind of, I'm pretty sure your clients might call you and say, Emily, oh my God, I need some help.
Definitely have gotten a phone call or two like that. And every single time I always say like, "Hey, you know what to do. Maybe
Right.
you just do some deep breathing. I feel like you're a little overwhelmed right now and you're feeling a little anxious because you're letting that voice in your head override you." Right? Like that voice, that's not you. That's just the anxiety talking. It's just the stress talking. It's not you or who you are. You get to choose who you are, right? And so what are you going to choose right now? Are you going to choose to kind of freak out and spiral? Or are you going to choose to take your power back?
Right.
It's up to you at the end of the day. You just have to take that, I'm going to say it again, intentional step to really
Right.
just assess and like boost your awareness and actually use your brain as like the superpower that it is, right? Like don't fight against it. Understand how it's working and then make it work in your favor.
Mhm. That makes sense. It makes total sense. So share with us again, where they can find you, the different avenues, different things they can take advantage of.
Thank you for the reminder. Totally spaced on that. Silly me. You can find me at theproductivityflow.com is my website. And then I'm also on Instagram, Pinterest, and TikTok as The Productivity Flow.
Okay, Pinterest and TikTok. Okay. Both of those platforms I'm not on. I know TikTok is very, very popular. And I think it's also too for a younger, slightly younger crowd too, I think on TikTok, right? Yeah, I don't know about
Mostly, yeah.
Pinterest.
I feel like it's a good range, but definitely Gen Z probably has the monopoly on it.
Okay. And I get confused on those
There's
generations.
too many. There's too many. I mean, Twitter is X now, and then there's Threads. Like, who can keep up?
I know about X, but I don't know about the thread. No, I did hear about threads, but I have no clue as to what it is and what it's about. But is it just where they do they just like type things or is it video too? On
It's basically Twitter,
okay.
except it's Instagram's version. That's how I have understood it. Full transparency, I don't have an account, so don't quote me on that, but
Okay.
that is how I've understood it.
Okay. And Emily, now do you take a certain amount of clients each year or is
You
is it
know?
just kinda like how do you do that?
Great question. So I really, in the last, like, let's see, what year is it now? It's 2024. I started my business in 2022. So when I started my business, I kept a lot of my freelance clients just to build in some stability as I was building up my coaching business. And so right now, I am in the middle of like transitioning to being a full-time coach. So
Okay.
at this point in time, I don't know if I actually have a like number that I can cap myself at. Hopefully I will learn that number very soon.
Okay. And did you I don't think I heard you mention anything about groups.
No, I do not currently do group coaching, but that is something that is on my radar because I feel like that would be really beneficial for like getting a group of like amazing like female solopreneurs together just doing the damn thing. I would love that, right? So, it's on my radar for sure.
Okay. All right. Well, thank you so much. I have
Thank
definitely
you.
learned a lot, and I'm sure you'll get some individuals that'll reach out to you and want to learn more, or you probably get some new followers, or maybe, some questions here or there. So that's, and that's always the aim. And I just kind of want to, connect individuals, or either someone may hear this and may know someone else that may
Mm,
benefit from your services. So I and then too to even be able to take the tools that you
yeah,
even shared because I know I'm going to
I love that.
definitely.
Yay.
So
Well, thank you so much for this opportunity to chat. It was such a lovely conversation. And again, just like your energy, everything about you truly brings a massive smile to my face. So I have had a blast.
thank you, thank you, thank you. So I'm going to go ahead and end this. And Emily, if you could just wait for just a moment after I end it. So everyone, thank you so much for joining us again for the Queen's Spotlight. If you are an entrepreneur or an author, you have a magazine, whatever way you show up in the world, if you're interested in being a guest on the show, definitely reach out to me. My social media handles are I can be found on Facebook and LinkedIn under Dr. Jacqueline Kaba-Harrison. On LinkedIn, I'm sorry, that's LinkedIn. On Instagram, which I'm not on Instagram all too much, but I do have an Instagram account, and I'm under realizing your potential 123, and also my business page on Facebook is realizing your potential TV network. So definitely reach out to me if that's something you're interested in. Also, again, for the realizing your potential television network, I am now onboarding new show hosts as well as podcasters. So if you're interested in expanding your brand and reaching, audiences across the world via Roku, Amazon Fire, Apple TV, Android, and iOS, then definitely reach out to me as well. Let's have a conversation and basically get this thing started. All right, so join us again next Sunday, 3 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And until then, stay well. All right, all. Take care.